Yep. Elizabeth's on too. That's Elizabeth.
Now, I see Miss Elizabeth is with us. Okay. It is now 2:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Finance Committee to order. It's June 20th, 2024. We are at the District Educational Service Center, Conference Room E. This is a remote hybrid video conferencing. We have requests for public comments. Should have been received. Have any public comments been received? Committee members, myself, Richard Geyer, Earl Campbell, Miss Elizabeth Hay is on. And you said Mr. Smith?
No.
Okay. All right, that's the committee members that we have here. I'd like to start with the first item on the agenda, the call for order and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda. Meeting.
Seconded.
And we moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hay, aye.
Campbell? Okay, got it. Motion carries unanimously. We have no public comments. I'd like to have a motion to approve the May 16th, 2024 committee meeting minutes.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve May 16th minutes.
Moved by Mr. Kemp
Seconded.
and seconded by Ms. Hay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hay, aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Education report. Put that up. Ms. Molly will put that up. I'm going to go through just very quickly. The local travel for the board is at 54.6% expended. The state travel is at 62.6% extended. Out-of-state travel at 77.1% expended. Board of Education meeting stipends is at 51.1%. Our total budget is at 73.3%, and this is as of 3 June. So we only have a month left to go, and we have a very healthy balance. Any discussion? Ms. Hay?
None from my end, thank you.
Go on to the next item is the transparency report. We have 77 pages of that. Mr. Campbell, do you have anything that you noticed on that report? Okay. Ms. Hay, do you have anything?
Hold on, let me double check. That report was the one. I don't think it was that report. It was on a different, one of the reports coming up. I had nothing on this report, the transparency report.
I have a number of items. Now, page 1. Lodging. I love you guys training. 19 cents. When I go through these, I look at a couple things. I look at the description, the vendor, and I look at what was paid. And I look for outriders. I look for big ticket items. I look to see that there's not a Ferrari dealer listed on there, or anybody spent $100,000 on a car for the superintendent. But I also see 19 cents.
That was probably travel that we procure a deposit for travel and then they post, and sometimes we'll have those outliers where
Okay,
they've made a billing error and they rebill us for
okay.
the difference in what the actual.
Just keep the book straight. That's what that is. Okay. Page 8. This is a question that I should have asked many times before. This is a student activity payment on Amazon. It also says faculty fund. What makes it the difference between student activity for students and then a faculty fund?
So in the student activity funds, we have a number of different club accounts, sometimes athletic accounts, particularly in middle schools and high schools, but there is always a place for a faculty fund. Faculty fund revenue could be teachers paid $1 on Jeans Day to wear jeans, and they know that it goes toward a pot of money that's available for sending flowers for bereavement or retirement gift or something to that effect. Something, so we don't allow flowers and garments, clothing, or things like gifts to be paid in the general fund. So they utilize the faculty fund to be able to pay things for staff.
Just wondering.
Mhm.
Page 10. This is something for maybe technology, but when I look at screen replacements,
Mhm.
each screen replacement of our laptops that we give to our students is $416. And I see probably on page 10 and 11, I see probably 30, 40 screen replacements.
Yes, those are damaged computers that come back into the district each year, that is what the technology usage fee is for. So that usage fee is put into a student activities account at each school level. We transfer it to the district level, and it is paid out of that student activities fund, out of the technology usage fee for repairs of the student devices. So yes, there are a number of them each year. But we do have that funding source to help offset the cost.
Now, the question that I have is, how can we harden these screens a little more? Is having a cover or something that we can add to this for a cost that might save us, might make them a little harder to be cracked and broken?
Yes, so I know that Mr. Chauhan is looking at devices, newer devices, and they are improving the screens. And so I can follow up with him to find out more details about that. We are looking to be able to help them be a little sturdier, but students are often very rough on our devices.
Understand. Down on page 11, I saw a 5,000.
Can I
Yes, go
ask
ahead.
one question?
Yes, ma'am.
Something else just to bring up while we're on the screen replacement topic. I didn't have questions about the screen replacement amounts, only because I know so many families in the district who have complained, if you will, or brought this to my attention. One of the other solutions that would be great if we could lean on perhaps technology to dig into a little further is many parents were frustrated at the $416 charge because they knew for a fact that they could take the device elsewhere themselves to get it repaired. However, what seems to be happening in the majority of the schools is once a computer is found with a cracked screen, let's say it's during class time, that device is then taken away from the student immediately. So the parents never have the opportunity to take the device somewhere on their own to get it replaced. And that's something I've heard from so many constituents that they would prefer if they could have taken the device somewhere on their own, dime, if you will, because they know that they could have had them replaced cheaper than the $416. It's kind of like our car insurance, right? If something happens with your car, you might want to pay it out of pocket versus having the insurance get involved. same type of thing here. So I think we need to look at that as a solution for those parents who do wish to, rectify the situation on their own.
Excellent suggestion.
I do want to make one point, though, also, is that parents are not charged for the first damage. So if the screen is cracked the first time, that is covered under the technology usage fee, the $20 fee. So anytime they're charged, it's for a second or third or beyond.
Well, one of the other issues is a transparency and trust issue between the parents and us as the district. They're not even being given the opportunity to see the cracked screen. So some parents have raised the question, like, was my screen even cracked, or are they just telling me it is? It's creating a trust battle, because then they're wondering, are they just telling me this to get the money? So that's why I'm bringing up, like, if the ball is in the parents' court, and perhaps it's a waiver they sign saying, I would prefer to take this and do this on my own, replace it, versus having the district involved. Again, just a suggestion.
We'll pass that along. Thank you. Down on page 11, there's an art show, professional development, $5,000, Whale Branch Middle School. It's special revenue federal, so comes probably ESSER funds. But there's a number of high dollar professional development. There's professional development at 5,000 at Whale Branch, 7,500 at Beaufort High, 15,000 at Ladies Island Middle, 15,000 at Beaufort High, 15,000 at Whale Branch High. I'm always a little suspicious when I see even numbers. That kind of bothers me. Very few things that you get are even numbers. So would you please do a little research on those items there and let me know why they are even numbers?
Yes.
And what those might be?
We are relating, this grant number 293 is the MSAP grant.
Mhm.
So it's the Magnet Schools Assistance Program that's in multiple schools. So we will look into that to see exactly more details behind each of those professional developments, but it is related to that grant
Okay.
program.
All right, thank you. Next item is page 30. And this is just an efficiency thing. I look at the Facebook Meta and it's improvement of instruction, dual enrollment. And there's number of entries for $2, $2.20, $2.42, small amounts. And I'm saying, wait a minute, there's a transaction. It costs more to have a transaction than that transaction. So why is it like that, coded like that and recorded like that?
Did you mention page 30?
Page 30. Oh, yeah, page 30 of 77. Very top. It's a Facebook Meta, improvement of instruction, dual enrollment for TCL tithes.
And you're on the April.
April 1st to April 30th.
My page numbers are different.
I can talk to that. That is where we run ads, and as the ad runs, they charge our card. So the cost of the specific ads are just dollars. I know it seems crazy, but that's how it works. with
Okay,
Those programs.
Okay, so it's on a P card.
Yes.
That makes it, I understand that. That's not a check going out.
No, sir, it is not a
Okay.
check going.
All right, good. Thank you. That's, I was really looking for that issue. Next page, 43. This is for fuel. District office. In March, we have a fuel bill on 4/12 for $14,811.08. And this is BCSD fuel. And then also, then on 12 March, there's one for 24,000, both set for the district office. I've had a problem with,
Sorry, could you say that? Your watch is talking to
shut up.
you. They're always listening.
So that's a little. Like I say, I had a problem with fuel in another life. And this kind of an entry with only a couple days difference brings up my alarm bells. So could you do a little research into that
Yes.
and find out what's going on? I mean,
And they could be multiple months
I
too.
was gonna
Sometimes
say,
the
it's
county
usually
garage
like-
gets a little behind and it may be several months of
okay.
transactions, but we'll look
Let's,
into
yeah,
it.
let's make sure someone's watching them. Okay? I don't want any fuel going into people's cars or other
Yes,
places.
we have someone in charge of reconciling those each month, so
Okay.
we'll follow up.
Great, thank you. Next one, page 53. Page 53. SCDOR doorway, a March 2024 use tax of $12,000. What's that?
Yes, we pay a monthly use tax on all supplies and materials or equipment that have not charged us sales tax. So we're in charge of paying that. Ms. Mock does that for us, for both us and ACE. And so that is a monthly charge that we pay
Okay.
every month to make sure we're in line with the Department of Revenue.
All right, makes sense. Thank you. Next item is on 61. And here's another, probably a card issue. Staples, many staples. And they're giving us credits of $1.20, $1.20, $1.20, $1.06, $1.06.
So they duplicated a processing of a charge. And rather than giving us a single transaction credit, it credited each individual item on that order.
And that deficiency has been corrected after we went straight to the vendor and explained the issue. So it shall not happen again, should not happen again.
Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
it was trust me, our team has to audit every single
Yeah,
one of those
right.
lines. And,
Yeah, that's
the
what-
red flag was thrown very early in the
Right.
process.
Well, we got our red flags together. That's good. Next page 69. Page 69 has a highlight in yellow. And is this a test to see if I'm really looking at this thing? Did you tell me what that's for?
It is for me.
Okay, all right, it's not a test.
It is not a test.
All right.
I do a review and that was probably something I had highlighted to ensure that it was a correction made on it, maybe a misspelling,
Okay,
and probably failed to take the highlighting off. So
all right.
I apologize.
All right.
It's good that you're on your toes, so we
I'll
appreciate
check
that.
Now, page 76. Fraudulent disputed charges and claims adjustment. And I know we have some, but what bothered me is the number of ones that we seem to have from McCracken. What's going on at McCracken that we're having this?
So normally, if we have a fraud on a card, we'll see multiple charges and they'll alert us. That means someone has hacked in. We immediately shut the card down. And dispute the charges so that we can get the money restored to us and then we issue a new card. So it was a procurement card that was frauded. Someone got the card number and began making charges.
When you get one from one entity, it leads me to believe that there might not be the strict controls of that card and how it gets used and then therefore misused.
We have some really good internal policies on how that's not
I know you
being.
do, but is it slipping in the cracking? That's my question.
I don't think so. I mean,
Sometimes when multiple charges like this occurs, at the disadvantage of the school district, sometimes it occurs over a weekend. And the campus finance specialists are tasked with checking their authorization log every morning so that these situations don't happen. But every once in a while, if it had occurred over a weekend and they check it on Monday, they notify us if the bank hasn't already, and then we take action. So we're not financially responsible for these fraudulent transactions and get the reimbursement back from Bank of America, and then go on with our internal procedures to shut the card down and get a new one issued.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next item is the consolidated report. Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions on the consolidated report?
No.
Ms. Hay, do you have any questions on this one?
I do not.
Okay, I don't either.
Carlton is on.
Pardon?
Carlton is on too.
Carlton? Do you have a question? No.
No, it's fine.
No, sir, Colonel.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the $100,000 report. And Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions on that?
No.
Ms. Hay?
I do not.
Okay, I have one. HES facilities. It says check. Do we give individual checks for every one of these bills from HES facilities?
No, it is paid one time, and these are all the transactions that make up.
Those are the sub-transactions.
Yes.
Okay,
These are-
I just wanted to make sure.
For each location,
All
one
right.
for each location.
All right, just wanted to make sure. I have no other questions. Or- Okay. Without any further questions, we'll go right to the ESSER dashboard. Mr. Cam, you have any questions on the ESSER?
One question.
Okay, Denise is up here to answer.
Yes.
Funds for employee child care.
Mhm.
When that runs out, we still have that money?
I'll answer that one. As one of the decision points, difficult decision points as we near the end of ESSER is that what to do with each program and can we fund it? And so there were a number of decisions made, whether we include them in the general fund, either fully or partially. Basically, every program was either kept or scaled back in some way. In order to be able to fund all of it, because we had about $15 million of recurring expenditures to manage. So the decision point on the childcare that we would create a heavily discounted fee for parents that would be approximately $25 per week per child in order to be able to continue the program. That would cover our costs and break even. There would be no profit made, and we would not expect any kind of loss in that program. But in order to continue it, that one, we wanted to move to a fee-based program in that program.
And that's $25 per week
Per week.
per child,
Per
not
child.
$25 per child.
No, per week per child. And the costs are probably at least 4 times that at local daycares. So we believe that it's a fair amount, and did the calculations and felt that it would break us even in that program, but still be able to continue it.
Any other question?
Mr. Dawson's son-in-law sent me a message the other day. You know, this guy works for, his name is Charlie Garrett, Bureau Chief of Infrastructure and Operation. And they have money up there that they need to spend and nobody seems to pay for. You want to get, I'll give you his phone number.
Yes, sir.
Phone number is 803
Mhm.
830 9714. And his work phone, that's his cell phone number. His work number is 803 898 1441.
Okay.
His name is Charlie Garrett Jr.
I'll give it.
So I'll give him a call.
Okay.
Maybe if it's a show, I can get some of that money also.
Okay, is technology related? Okay,
Okay, so you have whatever you need to spend it.
well, we can spend it for them.
Anything else? Mr.
No, that's all.
Miss Hay, do you have anything?
I do not.
Denise, I like our charts getting closer. Think we're still on track.
We are on track. Of course, this is, you got what we were at the time and
Right.
we're actually expected to go over what we had a little bit. So
We don't want to do that either.
no, we have some backups there, but that's where it went a little bit below that zero there. But no, we've actually, we had an amendment or a deadline to end up for this year. And so we're just projecting all these summer school costs and hoping
Right.
we're right. And then
Right.
expect to have very little forward into the
All right.
first quarter
All
of that.
Very good. Next item is the OE5 financial planning. Ms. Crosby.
Yes, sir. So every year, we have a reporting for OE5, and the financial planning is really a budget expectation. And so I think it's on the second page behind the actual summary is that we have an executive summary with about 5 points. Couple of the points were that we maintain a fund balance no less than 10%, but a desired target between 15 and 17. So there are a lot of different numbers here showing past years, but basically the budget, which is the last one, is proposed, the proposed budget at the time, what is an unassigned fund balance at June 30th, 2025 of 16.9%. So ultimately that's the goal of this, is to build a budget within that range, and 16.9% comes right within that range. So we are in compliance with that.
And 16.9% eliminates the need for a tax anticipation note.
Yes, sir, it does. It is an amount of $64.3 million, and that allows us to not have to borrow a tax anticipation note in the fall. So then number 2, the fund balance should be maintained at a level that eliminates the need for tax anticipation notes. So yes, we eliminated that this past fiscal year for the first time in over 20 years, and we are not planning to borrow one for the next year as well, because these funds will be sufficient to cover the low points in our cash in the fall, October, November timeframe. Also, the annual operating budget, we reported out on April 26th, May 7th, and May 21st, ultimately certifying that with the board. We have also been through 2 readings with county council and with unanimous approval, and we'll go for the 3rd reading on Thursday, June 27th. For final reading. So the delay was not anything relating to school district operations, but it does require an advertisement 15 days prior to the public hearing, which will be on the 27th. So that will be the final budget information or approval that will be needed. It also specifies particular things that should be in the budget, like revenues and expenditures, what our assumptions are, our projected actuals, final projections of the state, House, and Senate, personnel positions, long-term projections. We do a 5-year projection there. We delineated our expenditures by site level, and everything reflected a balanced budget. So we did comply with all of those requirements as well. And millage was proposed to stay at 121.8 mils. And that is what will be reflected. We will talk more about millage on the debt service side later in today's agenda, and with Mr. Brian Nurick will be on. But the motion I have today recommended is to accept OE financial planning.
Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions?
No.
Ms. Hay, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
I have no questions. Do I have a motion to recommend that the full board accept the operational expectations of OE5 financial planning? Motion made by Mr. Campbell. Ms. Hay, would you second?
Absolutely seconded.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hey, aye.
Motion carries. Next item, Mr. Nurick, you are on, sir. You're going to talk about our debt service millage summary report.
Yes, sir. How's everyone doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing well.
Doing good. Doing good. Happy summer to everyone. Okay, so we have two handouts, should be very similar to last year's Finance Committee meeting. The first page at the top left, it's titled Debt Service Millage Summary Report. And I want to focus on the calendar years 2023, 2024, and 2025 line items. So under column A is the year, and then under column B is the millage valuation at the millage rate of 36.3 mils. So for 2023, we simply take your audited financials and we plug in the revenue numbers and divide it by the number of mills levied to come up with an actual cash number that you collected. And it's an audited figure. And then beginning a few years ago, for the current year, which is 2024, your finance department tracks on a monthly basis and compares it to the prior year, same unaudited numbers, to see how we're doing as we get closer to June 30th, so that we can project on an unaudited basis what the value of a mill will be on a cash basis as opposed to an assessed valuation basis, as I discussed at the debt day presentation. And then we also can better project the ending cash balance or beginning balance on ending on June 30th, beginning on obviously July 1st, which will come up in the next handout. And so you can see for 2024, your finance department, and in conjunction with the reassessment, shows the value of a mill at $2,680,000. So to project for tax year 2024, we look for trends. And so prior to reassessment, we were averaging, right at that 5% growth rate. And so for 2025, we carried forward the same kind of point of sale in new properties coming online growth rate, which would affect tax year 2024, which should be the bills that go out this fall. So that millage rate would be $2,814,000. And then the only thing I'll note is that under column D, when you look at the audit page for debt service, you'll see there's an amount for, it's called state sources. It's mostly homestead exemption. Those funds kind of come in around May. So they're not available for the March payment, but they are available for the September payment. So that's just a timing issue. Here in the grand scheme of things, it's not a material timing number issue, but in other areas, it's very different. It could be a little bit more material, but just from a timing perspective, but I just want to make a notation of that. So if we move to the second page, this is where we get very granular on trying to create what your upcoming, I guess, would be fiscal year ending 2025 audit would look like. So the format is very similar, and we use this to project what our cash amounts are going to be throughout the year based upon the debt service that we already have on the books and the debt we're getting ready to issue. So the finance department gave me an estimated beginning cash balance at the top right of $15,371,000 at the value of a mill at 2,814,000 from the prior page and a millage rate of 36.3. We will bring in 102.15 million in revenue. You add that state sources, and we have total revenues of 119,121,000. That amount of revenue has to cover 18 months worth of debt service. So down below on the expenditure side, very granularly, you list all the bonds that have a September 1st payment, which adds up to 6,569,000. We then add up all the bonds that have a payment through March 15th, which adds up to 101.7. And then we also show the September 2025 payments of 5.8, 5.9 million. And you can see that total expenditures are 114.2 million. And then our cash, on a cash basis, our low points, June 30th, 2025 is 10.8. And then December 31st, 2025 is 4.9. So a couple of things to point out. The February 28, 2025 payment that's highlighted in bold, that would be a borrowing amount of 43,570,000 for the 8% program, which the board approved the project for. There will be a resolution next week that your bond counsel will prepare for that amount for consideration for the board. My estimates are current market rate estimates that we've been seeing. And the reason that the maturity date is February 28th instead of March 1st is March 1st is not a business day. So it's just one of those years in which March 1st falls on a weekend as opposed to a business day. So that's the reason why it's February 28th, 2025. Now, down below at the bottom right, we normally, we target $5 million as our buffer there. One of the things that I've not taken into account here is interest earnings. And I just took the 15.3 million and used 5%. And so you should be earning about $60,000 a month. It's called 50 to 60,000. So by the time, we would move forward a little bit, that cash amount will grow and we shouldn't have any problem being at that $5 million figure. The only other thing that I'll point out is based upon our debt issuance schedule, when we issue referendum bonds in January of 2025, we will have a payment added September 1st, 2025. And I already have a way to manage that payment, and we'll discuss that at a later date. But this is in past practice, what we have done is had the finance committee vote to direct the finance department, Ms. Crosby, to send this one page to the county auditor. And we will not go over the debt service figure listed due December 28th, 2025. Other than that motion, I do want to point out at the debt day presentation, I noted that there was a upcoming potential refunding of the 2015 B series. That resolution will also be presented next week to the board. And in the resolution, it will state that there has to be a savings net of 1.5 million over the life of the bonds for us to be able to move forward. So there'll be two resolutions next week, one on the 8% program and then one on that refunding to the extent interest rates cooperate. My notes. Other than that, that's all I have.
Mr. Campbell, you have any questions? Ms. Hay, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Appreciate the clarity of the presentation and the work done to enable that. Thank you.
Well, your numbers all jive to me. I feel very comfortable and confident of bringing a motion to recommend that this debt service millage levy summary be presented to the auditor for his planning. Do you have a special motion written up yet?
No, sir, I do not, but basically, we would recommend, so are you looking to recommend to the full board? Okay, full.
Approval
For
of the debt
millage
service fund millage levy summary tax year 2024.
as presented.
As
Yes.
presented.
Yes, sir, that's it.
Okay, would you make that motion, Mr. Campbell?
Yeah.
All right. And Ms. Hay, would you second that?
Seconded?
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Say aye.
Motion carries. Brian, are you going to be with us on Tuesday?
I can if needed. I wasn't planning on Franny was going to handle that, but just let me know if I'm needed.
Franny will be online virtually. She's out of town, but
Okay. I think that I can explain it and Franny can explain it. I think we'll be fine. If we have an emergency, I might call you.
Okay.
I'm happy to hit the highlights on it if you like.
Yeah, we'll give the highlight.
And just a quick note, I did receive an email from David Catt, our county auditor, last week requesting a millage, the millage information and a summary of that. And I indicated that we were going to be discussing it today and that we would be getting the board's approval and getting that back to them. He just needs it by July 31st. So we have plenty of time.
All right, good,
Mhm.
good.
And I'll just add one more thing. We actually we've got a robust calendar of items to issue these bonds as well as the referendum bonds, and we've got rating calls scheduled for early July already. So we are ready to go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you. Y'all enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Mr. Norwood.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Food Service Community Eligibility Program.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I have a few people with me. I have 4 people actually today with me. Joe Geithwide of the Nutrition Group, Roberta Green from Beaufort County School District Food Services area, Ellen Mason and Rebecca Rutherford from the State Department of Education, Office of Health and Nutrition. So I want to thank everybody for coming to support today. I'm going to run down the summary and then may ask the others to pitch in a little from the State Department and then be available for any questions or other comments that may be made. So this is the Community Eligibility Program is a USDA program in the Office of Food Service. This program was established in 2010 by Congress through the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act of 2010. And pursuant to a Beaufort County School District Administrative Regulation, OS 37, it says the BCSD will annually review all schools to determine what schools, if any, qualify for the CEP program based on criteria established by the USDA National School Lunch Program. Recommendations for schools to include in the CEP program will be provided for the board for consideration and approval. So that's what we're doing today. And so we began this program, I'm not sure the exact year, but I would imagine that it's not far beyond the 2010 timeframe. Yeah, right after that approval. Roberta was around when we were doing that, so she knows it very well. We began with 11 CEP schools. I'm not sure we began with 11, but we had CEP schools up until last year. Added 13 more schools, and in 23-24, which is the current school year. And what we're doing today is proposing the remaining 10 schools to become community eligibility program schools. And I'll describe in just a moment what that means. So the 10 schools are listed in a table here: Bluffton Elementary, Bluffton Middle, Bluffton High School, Coosa Elementary, Hillnet High, Kraken, May River, Okeechobee, Pritchardville, and River Ridge. So those would be the remaining 10. And the timeline is that the State Department of Education, the Office of Health and Nutrition, has a deadline of June 30th for us to make a decision on whether our schools are eligibility and whether we choose to participate for those schools. It has been deemed that all of our schools are eligible based on the calculations. It is a rather complex formula. I did not bring that formula together for you today, but it is based on a couple of factors that I'll discuss here shortly. And so with guidelines and information that was provided from the Office of Health and Nutrition, they had a great PowerPoint, but it was about 23 slides, and I figured that was a little too much for you today. So I condensed that down into just a summary for you, and then provided a fact sheet as well from the USDA. Basically, what that means is that parents will no longer be required to fill out a meal application, free and reduced lunch meal application. We would no longer, one of the biggest benefits we would no longer accumulate negative or unpaid meal debt. Last completed school year, 22-23, we had, right after COVID, not too far after COVID, $94,000 of unpaid meal debt. And the food service fund cannot pay for that. So the general fund must account for any of the unpaid debt that has not already been collected. We are projecting another $53,000 this year, and through the end, and that's the balance as of the end of this school year.
Can we stop you there for a minute?
Yes, sir.
So $94,000 in unpaid meal debt. Do we go out and give it to a debt collection agency, or is it just
No,
a write-off?
Our schools basically were the debt collection agencies all year long, and they would very much like not to do that anymore. So our parents were contacted on a regular basis to either through the Bright Arrow system or and other ways, but there are things that restrict us from being able to continue to accumulate that debt. So the district really has no control over if a student that has a debt gets in the lunch line, grabs a tray, and goes to the cashier. It cannot be taken away. So that debt only continues to accumulate. Also passed in a law this year was that you cannot remove any kind of or withhold any kind of extracurricular or celebratory items for a school meal unpaid debt. So you cannot restrict them from graduating, from getting their diploma, from going to prom, going on a field trip, etc. So there's really no incentive to allow us to be able to collect that. So that it really ties the hands of the school district to be able to lower those dollar amounts. So Melissa Pender, the principal at Coosa Elementary, is one of the biggest advocates for moving to this program, because she said, I don't want to be a debt collector any longer with my parents. So it is very burdensome to the staff.
Okay. And so what you're saying is we have been subsidizing this by using our operational general fund to pay this debt off every year at the end of the year. Right?
Yes, sir. And it has never been as large as these numbers in the past. Post-COVID, the numbers have considerably increased. And we are not alone. This is a nationwide issue. I Googled it, and it's across the country. increasing numbers of that unpaid meal debt.
Okay. Please go ahead.
And that's why I believe this program was developed to help school districts to eliminate some of that debt, but definitely in the realm of going district-wide CEP really puts us to a real advantage. So the next information is a little excerpt out of one of the PowerPoints from the USDA, provides some of the other benefits. Some are reiterated of the things I just mentioned, but for students, it would decrease hunger, reduce social stigma because you're no longer identified as a free or reduced lunch student. All students would have one meal, one breakfast and one lunch daily at no charge. If they choose to have a second breakfast or lunch, they would be a paid status at that point. So also a la carte sales like a smoothie or a milkshake or something else that is offered would be paying status. Just only thing that would be free to parents or students would be that one lunch and one breakfast per day. So positive impacts on the students' diet, academic performance would also benefit as well. As far as a household, the parents would have no meal application, no meal charges. They would be able to stretch their household budgets further. And schools would have decreased administrative burden, streamlined meal service, and no school meal debt. So it works, the program works, and this is just a brief summary of that. Eligibility is based on having an identified student of greater than or equal to 25% as of April 1st. So as of April 1st, we gather data from state and federal websites, including areas that I'm going to give the more common names of these programs. There's SNAP, TANF, and the Medicaid, so food stamps, welfare, and the Medicaid agencies. We get data from them and it's transmitted into our system, and then we use that to calculate, as does the State Department of Education. And that allows us to identify which students are eligible. In this case, every school in our district is eligible. And then lastly, it has to be financially viable to the school district. So what we're doing is removing the local revenue source and moving it to a federal revenue source. So no longer having that healthy student and parent paid lunch, paying lunch amount. It is a USDA reimbursement at this point. And so we have to ensure that the changes that occur as a result of this program will result in a break-even or better status for the school district. And based on the assumptions we made, that is what we believe to be true, is that it will put us in a better financial status, slightly better, based on the assumptions, and we were very conservative in our assumptions. But we had very slight increases in USDA reimbursement that we projected, but are hopeful. Typically, they're a little higher. We included that we generally have more participation, and participation is how many students actually get a meal. And so in our history and in our experience and others, we do expect a higher level of participation for students. And then we also have a very strong financial position in the food service fund. Last year, we had a $9 million fund balance. We do have a requirement to spend down that fund balance. We spend it on equipment and other things, freezers, coolers, ovens, and those sorts of things. We do have a plan and have been spending that down, but we do have a healthy position to manage that as well. So what I'm requesting today is a recommendation from this committee to the full board to authorize all schools to participate in the USDA, all Beaufort County schools to participate in the CEP program in the 24-25 school year. So.
Ms. Campbell? Questions or comments? Any questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Ms. Haig, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, this is a move in the right direction.
Mr. Dallas, your hand is up, sir.
Yes, sir, there is. I think this is one of those really beneficial programs that helps the greater society. And not necessarily for the finance committee, but at the board level, I think is this one of those improvements that should be part of our messaging so that the general public realizes the additional benefits that the public school districts provide to all of our constituents. That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Ms. Mason, is there, or Ms. Rutherford, is there anything you'd like to add to today's discussion? Thank you for being here.
Hey, no, Tanya, I think you covered it great. And I agree with the last gentleman that spoke. One of the good things you can point out to the board is CEP is a huge benefit to the local community because then the families can use that money at the local grocery stores or local restaurants. So it not only benefits the schools, the kids within the schools, but it also benefits your families and your communities.
And do you have a number of how many school districts in the state of South Carolina participate fully district-wide in CEP?
Rebecca added that up, and I believe she got to 57 for last school year. And I believe if you guys add, I think we're adding 2 to 3 that will be fully participating. 2 to 3 to that count for next school year.
So that's over 70% of school districts in the state are participating. So
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah,
you to know
we only have, I believe we only have 2 that don't participate at all.
Thank you.
Great program.
I have a philosophical issue. I have been delivering mobile meals from Help to Beaufort in the Burton area for 15 years. The people that we deliver meals for, most of which are elderly. Many are have issues of substance abuse and other things. And I see children being cared for by the grandparents of the people getting these meals. And those children are obviously not well fed. Let's just put it that way. But I also see some of the choices made. And I have seen abuses, very few. But I do see some that are disturbing in that we are subsidizing for those parents to make poor choices with the funds that they have. But bottom line is, I can't stand to see a child be hungry. And I know from firsthand experience at our schools that we have children that come in every morning and they haven't eaten until the noon meal the previous day. And you should come on a Monday morning and watch how the food that's offered, and this isn't gourmet food, this is solid, nutritious food, but they attack it like ravenous dogs. So I won't want to hear anybody in the community saying that we shouldn't subsidize this for these children, because these children are the victims. We need to deal with the parents some other way. But this is what I'm going to hear from some of my right-wing fiscal conservatives. And I just want to state publicly that I'm prepared to answer that in a way that says this makes sense for our kids. Now, does this mean that the kids from our well-to-do parents are just getting a free ride? Because they don't, no one pays, is that right?
No one pays for the first breakfast or lunch.
Nobody,
Yes.
even the kids that drive BMWs into school.
That's correct.
See, and that's kind of a stubbing point for me, but I know that we cannot go out and get a financial audit of every parent's revenues and expenditures to determine, well, that BMW is paid for on by the grandmother or whatever. But that also bothers me. But I also will not hear any more complaints from students about the meals either. From you know, they can bring a big lunch in their BMW if they don't like what's being served.
And Mr. Guy, if I may say, the negative balance that the district has been, having accruing throughout, it's not your free or your reduced kids, it's your paid kids.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Campbell, Ms. Hay, would you like to make a recommendation that we refer this to the full board for their approval?
Okay, I make a motion that we.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Did Mr. Campbell make the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, seconded. Sorry, my screen went black for some reason. I can hear, but I can't see you guys now.
Okay. The motion is, I recommend that the finance committee to the full board, that the full board authorize all schools to participate in the USDA Community Eligibility Program beginning in the 24-25 school year. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Hey, aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much. Okay, our last item, or second to last item, is the semi-annual sole source and emergency procurement reporting. Ms. Crosby.
So I am turning this one over to the procurement expert, Kaylee Ginger. And she is more than able to handle this much better than I.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me again. This is your semi-annual report from July 1, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. I'll have another one coming up for you in a few months again as we end this year. Our goals are our funded, our funds expended for the total controllable budget for this were around 99 million. The goal is 10% of that, which would have been 9.9 million for this semi-annual report. The total dollars expended to certified were 663,000 or 0.67 of the controllable budget. Total dollars expended for awards was around 6.8 million, which was 6.94%. So the total dollars expended was 7.5 million approximately, which would have equated to 7.61%. I believe it's missing on the report right there, which is probably me. So with that, we did 15 solicitations in that time period. 11 were for goods and services and 4 were for construction and or renovation. We did not receive any bids from a certified minority women business for any of those. 6 of the actual dollars paid to certified minority women business, 6 were minority, 3 were women owned for a total of 9, which gave you the total for the 663,000. As you can see, we're slowly starting to meet that 10% or getting there. I believe that that this time around we're getting even closer starting next year. So as always, we advertise on our website with how to work with the Beaufort County School District through a vendor handbook. We place ads in local newspapers and do radio advertisements semi-annually. In the spring, we schedule a minority vendor fair with contractors hired for summer work, and we have an amazing outreach by CBRE Heary as well. Always posting opportunities for the website. And the last part of the report is our sole source and our emergency procurement for that 6 months. We had one sole source, which was Low Country Education Consortium. And that was, it's instructional services that is set by the state. And that is the consortium that we participate in as Beaufort County. And then emergency procurement for ServPro, which we're aware of.
Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions? Ms. Hay, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Mr. Dallas, your hand is up.
Yes, I don't have any questions, but if there's anything as a board member that can be done, I'm happy to help spread the word, because I know the district puts on a lot of activities and efforts. Sometimes the turnout is less than expected and desired. So if we can help multiply your efforts, more than happy to do so.
Absolutely, always open to suggestions. Our outreach only reaches so far here at the district level. You guys are out in the community, so if you can help us by putting us in contact with local businesses, we can help them navigate the website, sign up so that they are notified of opportunities that are upcoming, or the contractors that we're currently contracted with, so they can contact them to see if they can get subcontract work with them as well. So absolutely, help is always encouraged and often welcome. So thank you.
If whoever is the point person for that, if you could reach out to me, or it doesn't show the name, that's the only reason I'm saying that. I'll be happy to reach out to whoever just spoke and see what we can do.
Sure.
Thank you.
I spent a number of years in federal government, and the federal government has similar goals.
Mhm.
But the federal government, if you're a minority or woman-owned business, you get a break on the contract. But we can't do that.
No.
But you have a counterpart in procurement at the air station, at Paris Island. And have you ever made any contact with them just to introduce yourself and talk procurement?
Yeah, I've actually been in contact with Miss Fleming a lot over there. She's a contact. Also, my husband works at the air station,
Oh, wow.
so I have the connections there. Unfortunately, when we've reached out with some of the contractors, they're so occupied or have a full schedule with federal work.
Yeah.
And because we don't offer any of the breaks or we don't give any preference. And our main goal is to have open market, but being fiscally responsible, minority women businesses are often more expensive. So the best way for us to meet our goal is through subcontracting with ours that have gone through the procurement. I think that is the best way to meet our goal while still being able to provide those opportunities to small businesses.
Yes, yes, very good. Well, this is I hate to have goals that we don't meet. Because we do a pretty good job in this district meeting goals. This is kind of the one that we have just not been able to solve.
We get close, and I think since we've moved down to the 10%, but now with the passing of the new referendum and projects picking up and more happening, especially with the new builds of the school and the renovations and the ECC and the new elementary, it's up and coming and growing. I believe that number is going to grow exponentially, but then it'll dip again.
When is the last time that we gave a presentation to the Chamber of Commerce, either the Beaufort Chamber of Commerce or the Black Chamber of Commerce, about our goal and our what we have to offer? When's the last time we've done that?
So I have never participated in a presentation for them at their building or their establishment in the county, but I know they've been invited to participate with ours through CBRE hearing and through operations. So can't fully answer that. I'm not sure if they participated or not.
Do me a favor.
Mhm.
How about going to Candace and ask Candace if she could set up a time for, I'll be willing to go, I'm sure Dr. Rodriguez would be willing to go, take you along.
Mhm.
And we could talk, and I really think the two Chamber of Commerce. At a, any kind of meeting, not a special meeting, but just as part of a program. So that we can say, this is a goal that we aren't meeting and we need your help. Do that?
Absolutely.
That good, idea. That all right with you?
Yeah, I think it's good. We've been doing this for years now. And, working with, the chamber. But it just seems like we can't get enough people involved. You know, I don't know what they can do, but I'm pretty sure they can do something.
I hesitate to ask the county to participate because county's got much bigger fish to fry than that, but
It's a Spears County School District.
that would be another,
Yeah.
another possible contact. But right now, they don't need anything more added to their plate. But if you do that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Any other comments on that before we go to future topics?
None here, sir.
Ms. Hay, do you have any future topics for the Finance Committee?
I do not.
Campbell? Mr. Dallas, do you have anything for future topics for the Finance Committee?
No, sir. Congratulations on a very effective and informative meeting today. Thank you.
Next meeting date, what's it look like for?
I believe we did not have a meeting in July last year. I don't know if that's
Yeah, I
something
don't
we
think we
want
did
to
either.
explore, and I am on vacation the second Thursday of the month.
So we look at maybe an August meeting, early August. We have a school board meeting on the 6th of August. Maybe look at on the 1st of August. Thursday. Same time. 2:30.
Sorry, that work for you? Yeah.
Ms. Haywood, the 1st of August work for you?
I believe so. I know we're going to be traveling either the 1st or the 2nd, but I can keep you posted on it. So we should go ahead and schedule it.
Okay, let's do that, and if we have to, we could maybe even go back to the 31st,
Perfect.
okay? Is that all right? Molly, you got that?
Colonel-
Okay,
Colonel Guy, if
sir,
I have one question. I'm traveling. I'm actually up in Maine right now. Stopped at a hotel so I could participate. I wanted to know are there any outputs that are needed from the operations committee? Because we're looking at, I had the council meeting last week due to this trip. But is there anything needed from the operations committee? Otherwise, we may have some flexibility in not holding a meeting in July as well.
No, I think since the 8% approvals are complete, I think we're good to go from that perspective. We don't expect any more additional bond issues or to be approved or anything like that. So I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Thank you both very much. Thanks, everybody.
If there's no objection, by unanimous consent, we will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you all.